Good morning. Welcome to Hammer Wrench Renovations. Today we're going to be working on the top of the wall, closing in the gap where the wiring is at the top of the luan. So come along, see how we do this. Now before I get started today, I want to address some of the comments that I'm getting. I posted a short about this plug here, trying to get lights to work. Now I have lights installed on the ceiling that are 120 volt. This is the wire that's going to supply the power to the lights. People are thinking that this is a hot wire coming out of the wall, and it's not. There's no electricity supplied to the camper at this point. I haven't attached it to the house for shore power. Now what I do have is this extension cord that is plugged into the garage. This is supplying the power to the camper, for the tools, for the lights, for the camera. And so what I did was I took these wires coming out of the wall that are run up through the lights, and I put this plug on it, because what I had initially was just these wires stripped back and poked into the extension cord. Now I didn't mind that, but I didn't want Amy or one of the boys coming in, bumping it, and getting shot. So that's why I put this, installed it. Now, whenever you plug this into something that already has power, this is 120 volt, you get lights. Now there's a switch on this strip, and look at there. So I hope to put some people at ease that ask me if I have my life insurance paid up, or why in the world would you do that, or safely, this guy's doing it safely. Folks, this is safe. This is like plugging in a lamp in your house. Don't touch the prongs. When the lamp's unplugged, does it shock you? No, it doesn't. This is the same situation. Until I get to where I'm running shore power into the camper here, this is how I'm going to do it. I have a power strip, I can run tools, I can run lights, I can run the camera. So I hope that puts people's minds at ease. And I don't know if all the people that saw that short will see this video, but it's absolutely safe. So what I want to go over with you today is how I'm going about taking this ceiling that has all of these strips that come down. How do you take a piece of luan that's cut in a rectangle, get an arc in it, and be able to account for these pieces that sit down? But what I do is arc. So it takes a little longer because these pieces aren't very wide, but when you hold them on the wall to keep them level, you can see that there's a gap here, but there's not a gap here. So what you would have to do is this amount of gap you would need to take from this end. And so I use a box cutter and I cut the arc. And once the arc fits, then I notch out for these ribs that go across the ceiling here. Once I finish with this one, I'll take another piece and I mark where this one ends so I can stick the next piece where it ended. And see, this can't touch the ceiling because of this rib here. So I have to notch this out on the cardboard. And once it gets closer to the ceiling, then I can see what the difference in the gap is. So here, about 1.5 inches. Here is about 3/4. So I'm going to have to cut an arc to compensate for the roof, because the roof is arched in a semicircle, not nowhere close to the circle. But that way, this comes up, and I do that down the wall. Once I do that, and I number these as I go, then I can tape them together, and it creates my template. Now here are my forms on the floor, and these are the luan that I used on the wall. And so what I did is I have my strip of luan on the cutting table, and I lay my cardboard up, lay it across, and I trace out the contour that I've made in the cardboard. And then I can cut it with my jigsaw. Now this takes a little bit of time to get it perfect. But once you have your rough cuts, you can hold it up to the ceiling, see where it fits. And if you've got a space where it doesn't allow this to go all the way to the roof, then you can take the box cutter and trim. You can see all the notches are accounted for. And it took a little bit of trimming to get it where it would go up as close to the ceiling as possible. Now, there's a gap between this luan and the wall. So what I've done is I had a 1 before and I've actually ripped it in half and I've cut pieces to fit here. And that will be the backer for the luan once it's put up top. To show you how that fits together. You can see solid there where there's not one here, and that's what you get. Nothing solid behind. So what I will do is I will fasten this to the top of the wall, and I have an overlap here, and so what I will most likely do is run a piece of trim around, and that will hide that piece there, and then it'll get painted to look just like the rest of it. So what I'm going to do now, I've got these pieces that I've cut. Fit them up here, take up the room. And I screw them in. There's my backer. Now my backer is up now. So there we go. Closing in the top takes a little bit of finessing with the box cutter. The tiny gap at the top I can fill in with caulking. And now we just need to do the end of it and do the other side. Here's your up close. See exactly how it gets back. Now the luan, trying to tuck up. Don't worry. Yeah, the gaps. Caulking fix that. So here's the template I was talking about. You have the tape together. Now marked where the very end was on this luan because it's not a full 8 foot. So that is where it finished off. So that's where I will start the next piece. First thing I've got to do is make sure I have a flat side to work on. Well, this one here is arced because I used that for one of the sides inside. And I kept the flat cut used on the same pieces. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to use that back side. now I have my template set up. Start from the end. And now I have it drawn out. This is where it ends. I'm going to mark a line, so I'll make sure I have a straight cut there. Now I'm going to use the jigsaw to cut it out. Okay, now I'm going to go in and test fit this onto the ceiling. And I'll cut in this notch here at the depth it needs to be. Notch where it needs to come out. I'm going to cut that with the box blade. I do have a little bit of a gap here. So I can fill that in with the luan. But if you notice, this board sits down further than this one here. What I'm going to do is trim this out so I can get the correct amount that I need to cut off the bottom to make it even all the way across. If you choose to do it this way, please be careful. Buck blades, very sharp. I'm cutting towards myself. Any of the Boy Scouts out there know that isn't what you should do. So what I'm going to do, you can see I've got a gap there and here, very little gap there. I'm going to take this box down a bit more, and then I may have to actually trim across here, get that a little more shallow. Because yeah, caulking could fill in something this size, but I don't want to trust the caulking to fill that in and stay. Alright, so that gap much smaller. I like it. I'm going to mark over here where the bottom of this board is. So I'm going to cut that much off of the bottom there. Alright, I went out and trimmed it off. It's good. I like it. I'll mark where it's short. I can measure that. This is the opposite wall. So because the interior is not identical but pretty close, I'm just going to take this part that I was using that long and flip it over. See how it measures up to the ceiling here as far as the arc. I like it there. I'm going to mark this. Trim that out. And then over here is where I'm going to cut it longer. Quarter at the bottom. I don't know how much longer I need to make it. I'm going to cut out this side. This is how I'm going to get an exact replica of this angle here. I took this piece of extra, slid it up behind the board already mounted. Rise this out. I don't know exactly what the gap needs to be. What you think? Closes in the chaseway. Now this will get covered here. You gotta secure this hinge for that door. And once that's done, I'll bring that out. This is what we got. The sidewalls. Down in the comments. So now it's time to take measurements for the end wall. Now this end wall, this piece here is where the curtains ran when it was a camper. And so I didn't take it down. So when I put the new piece up, it's gonna go up like that. Now it kind of tilts back a little. So I'm gonna take my razor knife, box blade. I'm going to cut this bottom section out. That's what I need. Is it removed? All right, that is down. Now I'm going to take this piece of scrap here, since this is exact, this is that, so I know where it can sit flat. So I'm going to make a mark where the bottom of this is here, so that way they'll be matching all the way around. Got an L. R for right. Now I've got to think about, I can't put little strips up high, but you see there's the foam that's right underneath the aluminum outside, and then this is the OSB. It's not very thick, so I can't run the nail gun into it, I can't run screws into it because it's not thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those little pieces of wood I'm going to cut them a little shorter, or I guess a little shorter. Maybe not a little shorter. So I can get them behind here and I can attach them. And that's going to give this somewhere to mount to. So I did something. All of my brad nails. What you saw me do is not use a backer, but just use staple nailing into the luan, put the top nails into that plastic piece there. There's going to be cabinets on this wall, so I'm not worried about it going anywhere. Alright, we're going to cut this one. So this panel here was in the bottom of the door, and I came across it the other day and I thought, I've been looking for a piece about this size. Wondered how could I get rid of these vents, because the hole was so large that I needed a piece to go in there. I said maybe that will do it. So I came up and held it up there, and I think it may just work. So I'm going to take this apart today. I may have to cut it in half to install, but I'm hoping that it will do the job and I can just get rid of this here. Well, it was too good to be true. I can get rid of one. I can deal with one. I was hoping that I could get rid of two. maybe I can find another piece that could go here. I can just put a support in. Let's see what I've got. It's a little trick. If you didn't know. Keep your sponge from drying out. And just tighten a knot. This is before. And this is after. See all that gap that this luan had with the ceiling and all these ribs here. Caulking sure helps the job look more finished. So that's going to be it for this video. We covered the trim on the base of the walls, caulking the corners, caulking the ceiling. I adjusted the door off camera. Once I pulled in the frame to across the top there where the header should be, it got where the door would stick out at the top, even though the bottom closed flush. So I had to work on that this afternoon, and that was not on camera. And then I put the receptacles in. Not going to do the light switch yet because I'm using this plug as an extension, so I can power the lights only. So if you were wondering how am I touching all these wires and there's lights on, the lights, that is its own wire. It is not backfed through anything yet. It is not attached to anything else. This whole camper has no power in it except where my extension cord comes in from the house. So if that's what you got going on in yours, you could lick on these receptacles all day long and won't get shot. But I would advise not doing that if you actually have power coming into your breaker pad. So we are going to go a different route with the camper. Amy is out of town this weekend, and when she gets back, we're going to make a video. We're going to talk about our alternate plans for it. So I appreciate you guys watching and following along. If you liked what you've seen, subscribe and like it. If this is the first video you've seen, we've got 7 others before this. So check them out. Appreciate you coming along, and we will see you soon on the next video.